Something fundamental, something huge is shifting across the entire internet right now, and it's changing the rules for literally everyone, from the biggest tech giants all the way down to the smallest online communities.
And really, it all boils down to this one pretty personal question. Look, I know it might sound a little dramatic, but is the internet about to start asking for your ID? Because in a lot of places around the world, this is fast becoming a reality. Those days of just, signing up for things anonymously and without any friction, yeah, their days might be numbered.
The thing is, we've really hit what you could call a tipping point. This whole idea of mandatory age gating, it's not some far-off theory anymore. For a whole lot of platforms, it's becoming a very real, very mandatory part of just doing business.
So what's driving all this, right? Well, the heart of the problem is this massive worldwide surge in new laws. And they're all aimed at one thing, verifying a user's age. We're not just talking about one or two countries here. This is a global wave. And just look at how fast this is all moving. I mean, by the end of 2025, Australia is actually going to enforce a social media ban for kids under 16. Then, early in 2026, the EU is rolling out these plans for digital mini-wallets to prove you're 18 plus. And let's not forget the US. Right now, today, over 25 states have already passed their own age verification laws. It is happening so fast, and it's happening everywhere.
So for the big guys, your TikToks, your Instagrams, all of them, the fallout from this regulatory storm it's just huge. We are talking about a completely new level of pressure, both operationally and financially.
6%. Okay, what does that even mean? Well, under the EU's Digital Services Act, that's the fine they could be hit with if they don't comply. And get this, that's not 6% of their profit. Oh no, that's 6% of their entire global revenue. For a company of that size, that's not just a slap on the wrist, that's a straight-up existential threat.
And this is where you'll really see the two-sided pain of this whole thing. On one side, you've got the platforms. For them, it's not just the insane financial risk. It's the fact that they know they're going to see a huge drop-off in users the second they ask for a government ID or a face scan. Then there's us, the users. For us, it's the hassle of it all, but way more importantly, it's the massive privacy risk. We're talking about handing over our most sensitive data. So yeah, it's pretty much a lose-lose.
Okay, so that's the problem. And it sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it? A bit overwhelming. But here's where things get interesting. What if this giant regulatory sledgehammer, the one built to knock the big guys into line, what if it wasn't actually made for you?
And that question brings us right to the core of what we're talking about today. There's this critical exception, a loophole, if you will, that actually creates a huge advantage for smaller, more focused online communities.
So to really get this, you have to understand who the regulators are actually going after. They use these fancy terms like systemic platform, but what does that really mean? Well, think massive scale. Think millions and millions of users. And, this is key, think powerful algorithmic feeds that are pushing content out to kids. That's who they're targeting.
And that's the most important piece of the puzzle right there. These laws, they're targeted. They're meant to be like laser-guided missiles, not a giant blanket that covers the whole internet. They're aimed squarely at those huge platforms that pose the biggest risks.
So this is where the advantage for niche networks really comes into play. They're often exempt for a few key reasons. First off, their reach is just smaller. They don't pose that same kind of systemic risk to kids. Second, a lot of them are built with privacy in mind from the get-go. They're all about community interaction, not, harvesting mountains of data. And third, and this is a big one, good old-fashioned community self-policing can actually satisfy what the law calls a duty of care, all without needing those super invasive ID checks.
All right, so that's the why. It makes sense, right? Now let's talk about the how. Let's get practical. How do you actually go about building a great community that's also compliant in this new world?
Well, the key is realizing you're not trying to be a mini Facebook. The strategy is to take a totally different path. It's about using specialized tools and infrastructure that are actually designed for community growth, not for that mass market algorithm-driven scale.
And here's the playbook, really. It's pretty straightforward. Step 1. Focus on a specific niche. Go deep, not wide. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Step 2. Use tools that are built for communities, ones that actually respect privacy and give you control. And step 3. Really invest in building a strong culture of community governance. Honestly, it's way more effective and way less invasive than forcing everyone to scan their driver's license.
There's this quote that just sums it all up perfectly. It's about being able to own your data
and your user relationships without being caught in the crossfire of international tech wars. That's the whole game. It's about building your own thing on your own terms.
So, let's bring it all home. The big takeaway is this. Yes, the age of verification is absolutely here. For the giants, it's a huge, expensive, complicated mess. But, and this is the important part, it doesn't have to be your reality.
If you choose that niche-based approach, if you use the right tools, you can build something amazing, a vibrant, safe community without all the headaches the big platforms are dealing with. And that reality leaves us with one final really important question to think about. As the internet kind of splits in two, into the mass market and the niche community, where are you going to build?